So the next topic we want to talk about is biomats, or energy medicine for our cells. So human body has something like 100 trillion cells in it, and they act like, I'm going to say, little Tesla batteries. They get discharged, they need recharging, and so on. In a perfect world where we're surrounded by nature, we have a good chance of recharging, but sadly we don't live in such an environment. So we came up with, over a number of years, doing some research on trending technologies like infrared sauna, red light therapy, for example, contrast therapy, negative ion therapy, and pulse electromagnetic frequency. So we decided that rather than somebody having to go to 5 different places to get different therapies, in fact, you've got a number of these therapies already at the Float Sanctuary, and also including our biomat. So what we did around 2 years ago is build the 5 technologies into the biomat. So let's do a little bit of a deep dive into what each of the technologies do. Before I do that, you can notice that all both our models are actually customers of ours. Darren on the left is in the fitness industry. Sijaya is national stand-up paddleboard representative for Singapore. They're both very active. So let's have a look at some of the technologies in the biomat. First of all, PEMF, or magnetic therapy. So Nikola Tesla discovered that certain frequencies are beneficial to the human body. So there's 2 main frequencies. One of them is Schumann's frequency, which is the Earth's magnetic field. It's at 7.83 hertz. It's much researched, primarily by NASA, because they realized that if they didn't build it into a spacecraft or a spacesuit, they were putting people in harm's way, astronauts in harm's way, if they left the Earth's magnetic field. So it is actually built into spacecraft and spacesuits. So it's highly anti-inflammatory. It's used to treat both body and brain. Namely, some of the conditions it's used to treat are PTSD, trauma-related conditions, autism, ASD, multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy. So things of a stress, anxiety nature as well, which are also conditions of the brain. It's been beneficial to treat that. So the other thing that PEMF does is neutralize EMF. So naturally in our lives, we're kind of being bombarded by different things. And where I'm sitting in my office, I've got aircon on. You might have a heat pump on. We have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and all sorts of things that are passing through with us, potentially interfering with the body's natural circuitry. So PEMF is a great cure for that, a great equalizer. Red light therapy is also built into the mat. So it has low heat laser. It penetrates into the body and interacts with cells, boosting or regenerating dormant mitochondria. So mitochondria are very important for both the body and brain. Triggers cell growth and repair, collagen production, which is used for cell membrane, soft tissue. And of course, when we think collagen, we think about our faces, perhaps. But of course, your body's biggest organ is your skin. So red light therapy is important. It also relieves seasonal affective disorder. So in low sunlight times of the year, which we have in certain countries, New Zealand being one, people are not getting enough sunshine, and it can affect moods because it's interfering with the body's natural hormonal regulatory system, generating the happy hormones. So it's a great workaround for the winter blues. So far infrared, great for relieving joint pain. And I'm going to say arthritis being quite common in New Zealand. We've had a lot of folks with arthritis enjoying the relief from the biomats. as it brings that healing and healing properties. It strengthens the cardiovascular system and modulates sleep patterns, as does negative ion therapy. Negative ion therapy takes out, if you think of positively charged air and dust, often bacteria, carrying bacteria, this neutralizes that either in the air or in the body. So negative ion therapy has otherwise been seen in nature. The Japanese have a term called forest bathing, and that's to walk in deep forest where there's a high prevalence of negative ions. Is very good for the body. Otherwise naturally occurring around the ocean, around crashing waves, there's a high degree of negative ion therapy as well. So we've built that into the mat, knowing that people may not always be able to interact with nature the way that they would want to. So there's also a big improvement in serotonin production, which is great for sleep as well as cognitive performance. And finally, heat. The mat has a temperature range of between 30 and 70 Celsius. So it's not just like a sleeping, a sleeping blanket. It is the heat is actually interacting with all the other technologies, boosting the infrared and other technologies that the mat has. So here are some of the benefits that we see from brain studies from using the mat. There's a big boost in the alpha state in the brain. So we have our resident brain scientists doing some testing on a subject who's a professional boxer. There's a big boost on the alpha brain state, which is the gateway to sleep. So aside from the cell and nerve benefits, there's a whole lot of benefits around sleep as well. So most of our Google reviews actually reflect that. Sleep improvements. We have a couple of testimonials here as well to share around sleep and sleep improvements. Okay, in fact, the most of our testimonials will actually mention the word sleep. Also, a big reduction in stress levels and skin improvements as well. This happened over a period of a month. The lady in the picture is in her 40s and had tried all sorts of potions and so on in order to improve her skin quality. The Biomat did it for her to help her body to detox and also regenerate. So a great outworking of what was happening at a cellular level. So you guys have had recent experience with our Biomat. Would you like to share some of your findings?
I've been using it every night basically for a few weeks to try and help with my sleep patterns. And my trouble was I was struggling to actually get to sleep for whatever reason. And then the quality of sleep during that time when I was asleep was a little bit lacking. So I was waking up feeling quite fatigued. So I started using the mat to see whether there'd be any significant improvement. And it was quite interesting. From the very first night that I used it, I fell asleep very quickly. And that was quite a surprise for me. I unfortunately didn't have my watch on that monitors my sleep pattern. So I've now found it, and I now have been wearing it for the last couple of nights. So the actual monitoring of that quality of sleep is something that I'm going to keep an eye on in the coming time. But certainly I can report the benefits for me have been my ability to get to sleep very quickly instead of tossing and turning, and to stay asleep for an extended period of time.
Okay, so you've which programs are you using for the?
I use P8, which is the suggested one for the overnight. So I leave it on for that whole time.
Yeah.
whether or not there's other things I could try. I think last night I thought, I might try something a little bit different, and I think I did P4 for a period, but that P8 seems to really work for me, so I've just sort of kept on that. But I'd be interested to learn what other things that what other programs I could probably try.
Okay, so program the Biomat, our Pro controller, which you have, has around 12 or actually 13 different presets. Now, the presets move up and down the PMF range. So the beneficial range for humans is between 1 hertz and 30. They all do different things. They have different benefits. So the one that you're using is part of 3. There's 3 in the series for all night sleep. So, and you and I could use the same one and get a slightly different result because our bodies are different. And so what I'm saying is there's no right or wrong answer. But there are 4 programs dedicated for awaking and energizing. I don't know what you're like in the morning, but I'm like an old car. I take some time to start.
Took some time to start this morning, Mike.
It's not even cold where we are. So I would try program 9. Program 9 is an energizing program which goes through all the healing frequencies that we talked about, like the earthing, the red light therapy, negative ion, far infrared, and the heat. But it's also doing a waveform on the PMF, which is giving your brain a whole lot of benefit and at a cellular level in order to energize the brain. So typically the patterns will move from low frequency to higher frequency, and in order to create, get rid of brain fog, get you cognitively ready. I liken it to, I'm not going to say having 5 cups of coffee because that would probably be detrimental for me, but I'm so clear headed after using the Awake program. I use it before training because I normally do either a bike ride or gym early in the morning. So I use it as my precursor to training, and I'll double down and use the boots at the same time. So have a play around with some of the other frequencies. They're effectively able to tune into your body's recovery according to your biorhythms. So first thing in the day, you want to go through an arise kind of frequency range. And then at the end of the day, you might want to go into that P8 that you mentioned that you love. And a lot of people do, by the way, swear by the program 8, which is one of our sleep programs. Middle of the day, if you have a chance, or if your clients come in, depending on what they're needing, you may want to put them onto one of the harmonious programs for daytime rest, meditation, or re-energizing. So check those out on the manual. We have a couple of different sizes. This is the medium mat, which would be suitable for, say, kids. And we have you've got the adult size, which is about 1.5 meters long. And it's important to include the legs in your recovery, to have the legs at least partially covered, because the capillary density in the legs are important for picking up the frequencies. They act as little antennas. So you've probably heard that walking around barefoot is a good idea. And why? Picking up the Earth's magnetic frequency, which is 7.83 hertz. It's called Schumann's frequency, and it's known to be beneficial to us as humans. And as Kiwis, we probably spend a lot of the summer barefoot. It's great. So what the mat is doing is...
I've got a comment here in Taranaki, that's part of the uniform, is barefoot. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that's goodness to us. So what the mat is doing is supercharging that. But the mat also, with the controller that you have, has the capability of moving up and down those frequencies. The biggest thing we see, the biggest feedback is around sleep. There are the other... this is a longer game, by the way, than the boots. People will put the boots on 15 minutes later, they go, that was great, my legs feel brand new. With the mat, it's a longer game because your body didn't get to where it is in 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. It's been a journey over time. So think of this as part of that healthy aging process, not in the least of which is your brain. So we know that brain health is the new frontier for health. As our bodies may live longer, we need to make sure that our brains are matching and keeping pace with that healthy aging process as well.
It's interesting, Mike. I think that's probably the question that I had was, as you said, somebody comes out of the boots and they stand up and they go, wow, I can actually significantly feel the difference. And it only took me half an hour to feel that difference.
Yeah.
This is a very, very different experience. It's not like you go, oh, wow, that was interesting. It's, I need to rush back because it felt so good. As you said, it is very much the long game, isn't it?
It is long game. People typically feel very relaxed, but they won't necessarily understand why. Now, some of the content that I'd encourage you to share off our site is around the biomats, around Schumann frequency, around each of the elements that are in the biomat. And of course, we've got a lot of tips and tricks on recovery from different sports. So everything from ultra running to cycling to running to Spartan / CrossFit, right across the board. So we'd encourage you to share that as well. All right. Well,